What does DEI really mean? Diversity, equity, and inclusion, or as I call it, division, exclusion, and indoctrination. Welcome back to the Make Our Voice Known channel, where we combat this anti-God, anti-Black, anti-American spirit that is pervasive in our nation and in the world. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, hit that bell, that notification bell, so you can receive the freshest content. And you'll receive these fire videos like this one I'm about to give you right now. What does DEI really mean? Diversity, equity, and inclusion, or as I call it, division, exclusion, and indoctrination. What do you get when you cross white guilt with anti-racism? You get the burgeoning industry of diversity, equity, and inclusion. The seminal event for DEI was the murder of George Floyd at the hand of Derek Chauvin 2 years ago in Minneapolis. The BLM riots and subsequent hand wringing that occurred ignited the passion of the white liberals to execute on their long-held belief that America was systemically racist. Because in their eyes, America was systemically racist, the only remedy was to course correct and implement programs that will force America to be more equal, force equality. In order to accomplish their goal, they needed willing participants. Enter the educational system and corporate America. For the last century, public education has been infiltrated by Marxists and Communists. The aim of the infiltration was to bring up generations of Americans who hated their country and could be convinced that the snow was black. In other words, these children were going to be indoctrinated into the progressive train of thought. Naturally, the implementation of diversity, equity, and inclusion would need to be woven into coursework and lesson plans. No longer would children be measured based on objective points. No. You can't have objective points anymore. Rather, now success will be more race-based, or put in a different way, more culturally based. Grades were deemed racist. Wanting to achieve were considered a relic of white supremacy. Wanting to do things based upon merit is considered white supremacist. Simultaneously, a change was occurring in corporate America. Most executives at corporations were so concerned with the perception of the race hustlers and power grabbers, the grifters. They were easy marks to control. Hence, the most important person in an organization right now is not the CEO, but the DEI officer. Usually this person has direct communication with the CEO and heavily influences decisions that are made by the company. Want to know why all of the commercials now have an LGBTQIA flair to them or an LGBTQIA theme? That's all because of the DEI officer. And you know what this does? This sets up exclusionary practices that in the end will not help. By telling black children that they are at an inherent disadvantage is akin to Alexander Stephens. Some of you may not know Alexander Stephens. He was part of the Confederacy, and he gave a speech in Savannah, Georgia in 1861 called the Cornerstone Speech, where he says definitively that the Negro will always be subordinate to the white race. And that's the irony, you see. In an attempt to rectify a wrong, the proponents of DEI are actually perpetuating the age-old adage of white supremacy. The white race is superior to the black race in their eyes, and that the only way black people can achieve It's through the benevolence of the white race, the white savior, if you will. Black people do not have it within themselves to make decisions for their betterment. Black people are inhuman. That's what essentially you're saying. Black people are inhuman. They can't think for themselves. They can't critically think. They have no agency. So therefore, we need white people to come in and save them. This leads to anger and bitterness, which leads to riots and destruction. It leads to victimization. It creates victims. And ultimately, it leads to the subversion and destruction of the American way. And that is the ultimate goal of division, exclusion, and indoctrination. To make us all victims, especially black people, to make black people victims. But we are not victims. We are empowered for greatness. Thank you so much for liking your comments and subscribing to the channel. Please share this with your friends. Smash that like button. Smash the subscription bell. Share this with everybody you know. We're trying to make sure people understand that they're not victims, that they are empowered for greatness, and all this stuff that's out here that's telling them otherwise is false and will not benefit them in the end. So please, I appreciate that. Share that.